Computers have transformed our lives, but they could be about to cause chaos. Vital services may grind to a halt at the dawn of the next millennium. On this programme, how a simple computing error set the clock ticking on the Millennium time bomb. Can it be diffused in time?
Certainly, we know that there will be people who will die as a result of year 2000 computer problems.
The very basis of much of modern society today depends on computer technology. Over the past 20 years, the microchip has come to dominate daily life. In this technological revolution, the future was meant to hold no fear. In reality, the future holds terrible uncertainty. The stroke of midnight, December the 31st, 1999, brings with it the threat of global chaos. If some experts are right, then there's a prospect of scenes where businesses cannot trade, essential public services cannot work, and life support systems in hospitals fail to function. Tonight on Week In, Week Out, we examine why a simple computer programming error, which could easily have been avoided, could now mean massive upheaval in the industrialized world. This huge problem has its origins in early computer technology. Enormous machines were created by computer pioneers, but they were short on memory capacity. To save space, early computer technicians decided to use the last 2 digits of the year when programming some time clocks. So 1999 is programmed instead as 99. As the clock ticks round to 2000, all the dates and times could be thrown into confusion, as computers read 00 not as 2000, but as the year 1900.
The results, as they say, are indeterminate. Some computers will carry on merrily, but actually produce entirely the wrong results. So you have a situation, for instance, where you might have a system which is designed for pensions, sending a pension certificate to a child of 1 year old because they see a date of birth of 00 and they go, oh, this is somebody who's 100 years old. You might find that perhaps there's a delay in paying housing benefits, or that some disability allowances aren't paid on time, and this could cause genuine hardship.
Dates occur everywhere in computer codes, and any one computer program may contain millions of lines of coding. Dates with the last 2 digits of the year must be found and corrected. Overlooking just one could throw an entire system into confusion. But this isn't simply an issue for computer users. Vast areas of our lives now are governed by technology which relies on the embedded microchip. From watches to washing machines, heating installations to hospitals, all have microprocessors which could be infected with the Millennium Bug. And time is fast running out now to fix them.
There are literally hundreds of millions of these devices all the way around the world. Only a very small percentage of them have got year 2000 problems. However, identifying the ones that have is an extremely expensive and time-consuming task. But I have to say that there are real safety and environmental impacts from the year 2000 problem, which cannot be averted because organisations have simply left it too long.
Perhaps most disturbing of all, hospital systems could be at risk. Air conditioning and patient records in hospitals could fail. More seriously, life-saving technology is also threatened.
Quite clearly, if we don't get it right, then it is life-threatening. We're talking about critical pieces of equipment which we need to treat patients, and therefore it is important that we get this right, and we need to do it as quickly as possible. So we're talking about things from CAT scanners, X-ray equipment, fetal monitors for babies and mothers, to sophisticated monitoring equipment in intensive care units. If we've got any concerns about a piece of equipment that it is not up to the mark, then we would take it out of action.
So, as someone who's personally responsible, can you give me a personal guarantee that nothing will go wrong in this hospital with the Millennium Time Bomb?
I can never guarantee anything in this world, as you would probably understand. But I feel confident that we have taken all reasonable action to ensure that no one is put at risk.
There are many potential reasons why lives could be lost. There are issues to do with perhaps medical systems controlling intensive care in hospitals. There are issues to do with just simple command and control systems. So the way in which ambulances are directed to emergencies or fire engines are directed to emergencies. These systems are vulnerable to breakdown as a result of the year 2000 problem. And I'm afraid to say that someone, somewhere in the world, is going to experience this at the wrong point in their life, and they are going to die as a result of it.
Welsh Office Minister Wyn Griffiths has the job of ensuring hospitals in Wales will function, and he's all too well aware that time is running out and patients want to be assured they'll be safe. Minister, can you give me a guarantee that in January year 2000 our hospitals are going to work as they should? There won't be any problems with the computers and the machinery?
Well, in one sense, I can't afford not to give you a guarantee because the care of patients and also the safety of staff depend upon everything working properly. So yes, I would give you that guarantee with only the caveat that there may be a computer in a corner somewhere that perhaps hasn't got up to speed. But I'm quite sure, what I am quite sure about is that all the equipment which is vital to the operation of the health service, and particularly in terms of direct care to patients, all of that will be working properly on the 1st of January 2000.
That's quite a guarantee to
Well, we
offer.
can't afford not to give it.
All health trusts in Wales have been told to audit their equipment to ensure it'll work into the next millennium. They must report back to government. But Week In Week Out has discovered that 10% of trusts haven't yet met deadlines for checking that everything will be safe. It's surely very serious, Minister, isn't it, if some trusts are not meeting the timetable to deal with this problem?
Well, yes, it is obviously serious, and I'm taking it seriously. And
what sort of action are you going to take against them?
We'll be contacting the trust. It's not a matter of taking action against them. It's a matter of just pointing out that this is essential work which has got to be done, and they will have to do it.
Which trusts are they?
Well, I don't think it would be helpful to discuss them on the air, so to speak. Just for what I can do is to reassure everybody is that those which have been a bit slower than the rest will be up to speed in plenty of time, so that the whole of the health service in Wales will be properly kitted out on the 1st of January 2000 to make sure patient care will be delivered effectively.
Checking all component parts for high-tech equipment and with suppliers is an enormous task, and the cost to the NHS is put at between 100 and 200 million pounds. And solving this problem means extra pressure which will be difficult to bear.
The question that needs to be answered is whether we'll be able to fund all we need to do in the timescale that's available to us.
And do you think trusts in Wales will be able to in handling this problem?
I honestly don't know. Again, it depends on the extent of it and whether there are some big systems that require to be replaced.
Where's the money going to come to pay for this? Existing budgets?
Well, again, we're talking about next year and the year after, and obviously we are working with the budgets we've got.
So no more money?
And, well,
for it.
At this particular stage, we can't say. I mean, what might happen exactly? I mean, maybe some more money will be found, maybe not. The important thing from my point of view is that we should first of all know what needs to be done, how much it's going to cost, and then we can see whether it is capable through cost savings to be found from the original budget of the health service, or whether there may be a need to draw on a reserve or whatever. I've got to be flexible about that. What I'm not flexible about is the need to make sure that all the work is completed well before the end of 1999.
the Millennium Bug could turn our daily lives upside down. No one knows for sure how many machines which control the way we live and work are affected. We may grow impatient with lifts failing, but far more seriously, basic operations like traffic control systems could also be at risk.
There is a risk. I think there are a number of risks. One of the ones which we are a little bit concerned about is traffic light systems, that these are all computer controlled, so that you can move through a whole series of traffic lights in turn without having to stop at each one. Clearly, if the computer that controls all of that comes to a halt, or starts sending out the wrong signals, you could have traffic accidents, for instance. Now, the concern here is that responsibility for traffic light systems is dispersed through large numbers of local authorities, and it's very difficult to get a view as to whether they are all addressing this problem adequately.
Will the lights go out across Britain? Power generation plants have chips controlling supply. Even pipelines and distribution networks depend on them. All are controlled by different private companies, with no absolute guarantees they can deliver.
I believe that the electricity generators, the national grid, the railways, the oil companies and British Gas have got on top of the problem. We have yet to see in detail some of the plans of the distributors of gas, electricity and water, who perhaps aren't so far down the line in terms of getting their plan ready. So possibility, I think, of some local short-term failures. Hopefully we can contain it to that.
David Atkinson.
In the Commons 2 years ago, a sign of how the problem was being viewed, backbencher David Atkinson tried to alert the government to the dangers facing industry with the Millennium Bug. He tabled a question for the then Prime Minister, laying bare the huge consequences for business and asking what was being done about it. He was met with general derision around the House.
Can my right honourable friends say whether the government is aware of the situation and how it is responding to it?
Well, I will make sure that
The House fell about. They really had heard nothing quite like this before, and so they couldn't believe what I had suggested, that there would be widespread catastrophe, not least for British business, unless the government took a lead in ensuring that British business was aware of the problem and was taking action in response to it.
Mr. David Atkinson.
Against widespread lack of interest in the House of Commons, the MP proposed a bill to force companies to tell shareholders how they're tackling the problem. It's unlikely to become law, but the government has now created a body called Action 2000. Even so, with a budget of only £1 million, it has to solve a multi-million-pound problem. It's headed by the chief of the telecoms watchdog, Don Cruikshank, who runs it 1 day a week.
We're seeing the DTI trying to raise the level of awareness in industry as a whole. One could always ask for more. Those of us in the IT industry who focus on the year 2000 problem and who understand the scale of this say, everybody should be shouting this from the rooftops. We really need the whole of industry to engage with this. So I wouldn't want to say they haven't done enough. I welcome the fact that what they've done, and say, please carry on doing it, please do more, because people are really going to suffer as a result of this, and we need the government to take a lead.
It won't be government that bears the main cost, but industry and the public. For utilities like BT, this is a major issue. They are anxiously combing their digital network to find year 2000 bugs, but other companies and suppliers support their system.
Everybody relies on everybody else. The whole chain is only as strong as its weakest link. BT will be ready at the end of 1998 in terms of being able to fix everything which is within its sphere of influence. However, there are no guarantees to us from our suppliers that they will meet those dates. And also we have no jurisdictional control over other licensed operators in the UK or abroad.
This, though, is an important issue that doesn't just affect domestic telephone users. The telecommunications industry supports other systems which are vital to the country.
We have national responsibility for maintaining service. We have a responsibility for maintaining emergency services, and as such we already have pretty substantial backup plans. Those are being reviewed currently and have been in review for at least the last 3 months to see whether anything above and beyond what we can envisage as disaster scenarios currently would occur in the year 2000, and what we need to do to bring those disaster recovery plans up to spec.
Following a huge investment in digital technology for its telephone system, BT is now investing another £200 million to cope with the Millennium Bug. So who picks up the tab?
Everybody picks up the tab for it. We pick up the tab for any upgrades that are made and onward charged to us, and customers will pick up the tab for any changes we make and on their behalf. It's business as usual. It's what happens.
Entire business communities are having to wake up to this problem. At Sainsbury's, each till is a terminal linked to a computer. The effect of doing nothing could mean commercial ruin. To get ready in time, they've trawled the world, including India, to find enough programmers. The huge demand has led to shortages in Britain as they try to prevent major difficulties.
If we lose the computer systems behind the scenes, it can cause delays to ordering and delivery, and that of course means that goods would be out of stock, and potentially if we couldn't pay our staff, clearly this would be an unacceptable situation. And if we were unable to send our takings to the bank electronically, that would also be completely unacceptable. So I think you can see that just about everything we do depends on computers, and we're absolutely determined that we're going to get this right.
Again, it's proving a significant financial burden for the company. They're spending £40 million preparing for the Millennium, but how much of that will be passed on to the shopper?
Customers can be quite reassured that the cost of this project is being met in effect by our shareholders, and it has no influence on our prices. I should also say that this is a problem that every retailer in this country will face, and I've no doubt that we will all tackle it in a similar manner.
Sainsbury's say they're putting their own house in order, but as with BT, they do not work in isolation. They rely for their stocks on thousands of suppliers. If their suppliers' systems aren't year 2000 compliant, then there could be a serious breakdown.
I would say the majority of companies probably need to do a little bit more if they're not going to have a problem in the year 2000. We have written to all of our suppliers to make them aware of the problem, and we've opened a helpline at our head office to make quite certain that all suppliers are actually aware that there is a problem, and really now is the time that they should do something about it.
We would hope that the business community at large would work with sympathy with other members of the business community. We're all in it together. No one's going to be able to just sit there and do nothing, because they will affect the other organisations that they relate to, that they're working with. If any element of the business community fails, then it can have a drastic knock-on effect onto other members, whether they're individual consumers or whether they're other companies.
Small and medium-sized businesses like this one on Anglesey are the mainstay of the Welsh economy. The owner, Chris Barber, is also a director of the Federation of Small Businesses in Wales and is painfully aware of how little his members acknowledge the problem of the Millennium Bug.
Raising awareness is like kicking a dinosaur. Most small businesses haven't got the strength to be able to move this immovable object. Now, in my particular situation, my small computer is not compliant. I use it purely for in-house work, my invoicing and my stock control and everything else. Fairly easy matter for me to upgrade that. But at least I am aware that I am not compliant. And it's so easy to find out. It's something I would recommend to all small businesses, that they find out today. You're not going to be able to do your invoices. You're not going to be able to order your stock on time. It's going to corrupt everything. It's just not going to work. End of story.
We conducted a survey of small and medium-sized businesses in Wales. 21% said they were not aware of the Millennium Bug. 57% had not started to check their equipment. and 61% didn't know it was an issue for the business community.
The potential cost of resolving the year 2000 problem in the UK economy as a whole could be between 10 and 20 billion pounds. Now, spending this money on non-value-adding activities is likely to have a somewhat depressing effect on the economy. Generally speaking, if you were spending that much money, you would expect to be able to get a return on investment. There is very, very little return on investment from this. This is just fixing a problem. It's just unblocking the drains.
Is your deadline?
But this piece of maintenance is urgent. Here at a North Wales Business Club seminar, members are alerted to the risks their companies face. A recent DTI survey found only 13% of business in the UK was year 2000 compliant, and most plan to wait until 1999 to do anything about it.
You have to become Millennium compliant. If you don't, chances are you're not going to have a business after the year 2000. And really, that is a message that I'd like to sort of try and get put across. The clock has already started ticking. The people that are going to succeed and survive are those that do something about it now.
We in the embroidery business are a service industry. So if our customers aren't compliant, then obviously it actually reacts down the chain, and it will destroy our business.
Small and medium-sized businesses are the mainstay of the Welsh economy, where they must address this problem. It is only through their growth, through their stability, that we can ensure that the Welsh economy grows through into the next century.
It's hard to comprehend now how the very technology which has revolutionised our lives over the last 2 decades had all along the seeds of destruction within it. So much could be affected, and many who do know how great the potential threat is are asking who is responsible when it could all have been avoided so easily. Part of the answer may lie with some of those original computer pioneers, ironically the very people who could stand to gain from it all. George Smeller travels Europe from his home in Llandudno, offering advice on computer problems. He's worked in the industry for 34 years, and experts like him stress that the original computer programming error was just standard procedure. But now the fuse for the Millennium time bomb is lit, he makes money trying to stop it exploding.
I have no estimate as to how much money I can make. I hope I can make a reasonable amount of money on this. The only guilt I feel is the fact that I didn't highlight it 10 years ago. But as far as the original guilt is concerned, no, not at all. It was just one of those things, and we did the right thing at the right time. We didn't take corrective action. That's another issue, another matter altogether.
This industry has not caused this problem, if you're talking about the supplier industry. Over 90% of the code which is actually affected by this was written in-house by people in companies and government organisations and so on. So therefore, I think I'd take exception to the fact that we're the industry that's caused this. And we will not be reaping enormous profits out of this. The IT industry is playing its part. It cannot pay for everything because it's not its job or role or indeed requirement to pay for everything.
But somebody has to pay, and the real cost of the Millennium Bug is affecting us now. Banks especially have become acutely aware of the money that needs to be spent. The Bank of Scotland, which owns the Bank of Wales, is working to get its own systems ready. But like other major banks, it's getting tough with business customers. Take action to be ready for the turn of the century, they say, or lose our backing.
We still want to lend money, that's for sure. That's the business we're in. We asked customers now to tell us what they're doing about year 2000, how it's impacting their company, what they're doing about it, what progress they've made. And we are reviewing all these as part of our credit assessment talks. As I say, we want to help customers. We want customers to stay in business. We want customers to keep borrowing from us. But ultimately, you're right, that if things don't go according to plan, if they continue to keep their head in the sand, we could, as a last result, withdraw credit facilities from them.
Some of the most alarming potential risks are only now becoming apparent. Aeroplanes' navigational systems and air traffic controls around the world depend on microchip technology. The Dutch firm KLM, who fly daily from Cardiff, were alone among the airlines we spoke to in saying they may ground planes altogether and in admitting the scale of the problem.
Automated systems will fall down, giving aircraft no further instruction, no guidance.
I mean, basically nothing happens. The aircraft won't fall out of the sky. But if hundreds of aircrafts are in the air and there is no guidance down there, they are actually at their own, operating with their systems on board, and that's it. We take in consideration the possibility that at the 1st of January in the year 2000, we will ground aircraft on certain routes, or maybe ground certain aircraft, depending a little bit, of course, on the problems that we confronted with. Now, if in certain areas in the world we encounter a problem with air traffic control systems, that means we in the air still have a problem. If that occurs, and if we know of the problem, we won't fly that route.
Apart from government agencies and businesses, personal computer users will be affected. Some PCs just won't work properly after the year 2000. It seems certain that huge numbers manufactured up to the early 1990s will not be able to cope with the date change. We asked a number of leading PC suppliers to give a firm guarantee that their computers were year 2000 compliant. The Dixons Group, which owns PC World, told us all current PC ranges on sale in our stores are able to be year 2000 compliant. If we discover any that we've sold which cannot be upgraded, we would take a sympathetic approach. Comet said, we cannot guarantee that computers sold through our stores are Millennium compatible. However, they said they pledged to ensure that no customer would be disadvantaged if a PC is not Millennium compatible.
There are some PC manufacturers, some small ones, who haven't understood this problem yet. You know, they see their job as gluing these things together and blithely using bits, components which fail the year 2000 tests. Maybe because they're cheaper, I don't know. So I think that the advice I'd give right now is to buy from reputable suppliers, buy from relatively big companies, and ask for a demonstration of the PC rolling through the date and indeed being powered down on a supposed date, end of December 99, and then being repowered up in 1st of January 2000. Simple tests. You want some demonstrations this thing's going to be okay. Assurance is really what you should be looking for. If you can do that, then I think you'll be all right. Although, personally, I couldn't guarantee it.
The problems of the Millennium Bug can only be solved with expertise and money. The cost already runs into billions of pounds, and more needs to be spent in the short time that's available. Many believe it'll need urgent action at all levels of society if the doomsday prophecies are to be proved wrong.
The worst scenario is that we end up without an electricity supply. And if we end up without an electricity supply, we very quickly end up without water and food, and then we're all dead. I don't think it'll happen. I hope it doesn't.
Certainly, we know that there will be people who will die as a result of year 2000 computer problems. We know that there will be businesses that fail. But it's not inevitable that it has to be large numbers in either case. If we act now, a large number of the problems can be circumvented.
I'm by nature an optimistic person, although that optimism has been sorely tested over the last year. I just hope that I can keep my faith as we move forward, because this is a very, very big and very serious problem.